So it's time for our closer look at the Amazing Spider-Man from Marvel Select. To start things off, let's talk a little bit about the incredible, or should I say amazing, now I'm doing the amazing puns, sculpt. Let's have a little bit of a closer look at Spider-Man himself. You know, this is one of these sculpts that's just so immaculate, just to look at. It's so impressive. If you have, somebody coming over, they see this on your shelf, this will instantly catch their eye.
Yeah, it just grabs you immediately. Even in the package, it looks incredible.
I mean, just to have a look at this thing, there's all this nice kind of glossy work on these black lines that catch your attention and your eye immediately. Another point of great sculpting is the head, and here's an image of the head in greater detail. And of course, we have the hands, which are the brand new, very intricate glove design that's from the film, where the sculpting kind of veers off in different directions. Of course, it's more of a paint effect with the blue. And the great thing about these is that there are different hands that we get. You get a set where you can either have both fists, or a set where you can either have both web-slinging hands. We'll talk about those a little bit later.
And they're just little bits of extreme detail in the sculpt. I mean, aside from just how meticulous the lines on the suit are, things like the web shooters are even sculpted right into the wrists.
It's really hard to see them because there's no kind of extra paint application to separate them from the rest of the glove, but they are there.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the details on the back, which are also very nice, so we've shown you very briefly. We have the spider symbol, looks very nice, and of course this new kind of cut where it goes up here. And the back of the head continues the lines. We have all this nice sculpting on the back. As you can see, there's a full belt on the back and rather than on the front this time. And even on these sides, we have these beautiful lines that go all the way down on the sides of the legs, which is one of my favorite touches of the new outfit. And even on the shoes, we have very intricate details. As you can see, they're more like sneakers this time out. As you can see, there's some sculpted bits there just on the sides. Let's talk about sculpt inaccuracies, Brandon, to the film. Alright, Brandon, so I think it's time to talk about one of the little inaccuracies to the sculpt, I think, and something we agree on, is the shoulder sculpt. So could you elaborate on that?
Yes. The top part of the arms, the shoulder, Andrew Garfield's a pretty small guy, and these are just a little bit too bulky. And they really add a little extra size to Spider-Man that he doesn't need, and it looks good. Just for the figure. It looks good. The figure looks good, and it may be to the advantage of the figure, but it's just not quite as movie accurate as we would like.
Yeah, there we go. The other piece of sculpting I would like to talk about that maybe isn't as accurate as it could be is Andrew Garfield's long neck. Andrew Garfield is a long neck kind of guy, and on this figure, the neck maybe isn't as high up as probably it should have been. So even though, it looks fine and everything, and it certainly looks much more proportional than Andrew Garfield himself, the head should probably set a little bit higher. That would have added to the scrawniness a little bit and taken away from these rather large shoulders. Other than that, though, the sculpt is a very incredible one, and the large shoulders and kind of lower neck give Spider-Man what I would call more of a classic action figure feel.
Yeah.
He has this great kind of toyetic sort of look to him, and I mean toyetic in a good way, not a bad way. And he's got that little bit of extra added bulk and that little bit of extra added comic bookiness to him.
Yes.
And kind of reminds us a little bit more of the Raimi Spider-Man physique a little bit. I mean, he's still scrawnier, but it's this kind of big shoulders and bigger chest.
One of the very best qualities about this figure is the paint. He's just got a tremendous amount of applications. See the black lines, the spider on his chest are all paint. Lines in the eyes on the head. One of the other mild inaccuracies, it's not too big of a deal, is that the eyes are just a little bit too yellow. They should have been sort of an off orangey kind of yellow, but they got to work with what they have at the factory, of course. On the back, of course, the other spider symbol is painted, and there are more black lines on the belt. The gloves are painted very intricately, as well as the boots on the top. On the bottom there's another inaccuracy, and this is a fairly big one, because in the film he's wearing these odd kinds of sneakers, and they actually have a silver lining on the bottom, kind of like hiking shoes, I guess. And there's just there's sort of an indication with the sculpt, but there's just nothing there. And on the back, actually, you can see where it is sculpted in, but they've painted them blue instead of silver. And perhaps the biggest issue with the figure is the way that the shoulders are painted. With Spider-Man, you know, the blue and the red on the costume have to line up in a certain way. And to pose Spider-Man in a neutral position, you've got to hold the arms back to make the red line up. So if these would have just been painted, if the red lines had been painted a little lower on the shoulder, it would have lined up and he could have been standing with his arm to his side in a neutral position. But as it stands, they have to be back a little bit.
You know, guys, one of the good things about this figure is the amount of articulation that you're given. Marvel Select has actually given us a very great variety of articulation on this figure, and there's plenty of it. So let's go through. We have a really nice ab crunch. As you can see, you can go pretty far back and really far forward. And we can go side to side a great ways. There's actually an incredible amount of motion here. You can get all this sort of motion going if you want to have him do the hula. And of course, we have a hinge here at the shoulder, which actually goes pretty far up. And then it goes all the way back down. Of course, we have a cut here at the upper part of the shoulder. And then we have a single hinged elbow right here. To some people, this may be a big deal that it's not double hinged, but as you can see, it actually goes up pretty far. So to me, I don't really count this as much of a big deal because this is about as far up as I need Spider-Man's arm to go. Of course, it would have been nice to have had another hinge, but of course, it is not the way it worked out. And we have a cut here at the glove, which is something we've not been getting with mass retail release 6-inch figures, so that's something kind of new. Of course, these hands are movable, and we'll show that to you in a minute, and that's why there's a cut. And there's a hinge here at either one of the wrists, either the punching or the web shooting wrist, which we'll get to in a minute. And as you can see, the range of motion is incredible. You can go all the way up, like this, all the way down. Of course, there is no waist cut. That's a joint that's pretty well been eliminated, it seems, in modern figures, since the ab crunch usually takes care of that function with the turn. There are some hinges here on the ball joints of the legs. You can see they go up and down. And, of course, you can turn that hinge where you can go to side, and it turns very well without any difficulty. Of course, we have a double jointed knee here, so you can get a great range of movement out of the legs, and rocker ankles. And so they go all the way this way, all the way that way. And of course a cut here at the boot, which is another point of articulation that most mass market figures don't have these days. So it's actually pretty impressive. So there's one more joint, and it's a sort of a problematic one. Brandon, can you tell us more about that one?
Yeah, unfortunately, numero uno, as far as negatives to this figure are concerned, is that the neck is just a ball joint. Not one that you could really get a large range of motion out of anyway. We've gotten kind of spoiled because a lot of figures, even Hasbro 6-inch figures, now have a joint at the neck, so they can go down as far as you'd like or up as far as you'd like. And it just really, you're not going to get a lot of wall crawling poses with Spider-Man, where he just can't look forward, so he can't, hug the wall and look up, which is very unfortunate. Included with Spider-Man is a base stand, like the Marvel Legends bases from the days of old. This is a really large piece. It's about 6 inches high and 8 inches across. And is it that big? Yeah. It's a really large piece. It's about 6 inches high and 8 inches across. And it's a basic side of a building. There's a lot of really intricate sculpting with the brick. There's a lot of pipes sculpted in. And there's a window and an air conditioner unit. And then the bottom is actually not meant to be a floor or a street or anything. It's the awning from over top of a storefront. And, it's just, anytime you can get just a basic cityscape piece like this, it's something you can use for all your action figures. So it's a good plus, and of course it's a very appropriate fit for Spider-Man. It has 2 figure stands on the wall, but the peg holes on Spider-Man's feet are pretty small, so we were just very afraid of breaking them. And on top of that, there is a peg hole for a nail, so you can hang it on your wall.
And here Spider-Man is on his display stand. There is 2 small pegs here on the display stand, and all you have to do is hook his feet in, and he stays pretty well. Just be careful when you try to put him in the display pegs, because sometimes they will break off. Thankfully, that did not happen here, but it seemed like the fit was a little tight, so just be careful, and you can have a pretty cool Spider-Man display. Aside from the base stand, Spider-Man's only accessories are these alternate hands. He comes with either 2 of these, or or 2 of these, the fist. Of course, it's very easy. Say if we want both of Spider-Man's hands to be in the web slinging pose, all you have to do is this. Just right here at the cut, you just pop off this thing. And the first few times you do it, it'll be kind of difficult, but it is good that they're on there so well. Of course, this joint is pretty sturdy, and it seems to be in there pretty well, so you don't have much to worry about in terms of quality control. Next, all you have to do is take the new hand that you would like to plug in, and scoot it on there. And I suggest doing it like this, just kind of twisting down sort of gently, and then giving it a push, and it'll lock in, and no problem. So you can have Spider-Man with 2 web slinging hands. Very nice, and great for kinds of varieties and poses. Of course, there is going to be a variant that's going to come down the pipeline here pretty soon, with a Peter Parker head, and 2 ungloved hands that have the web shooters on them. So I'm looking forward to that one as well, as that'll be a neat accessory choice, and should be able to switch with this one's head and these hands. So you're going to have a lot of different options in terms of customizing your Spider-Mans. Alright guys, it is scale comparison time, and here we have the new Spider-Man figure with the Lizard. As you can see, there is quite a huge difference in height. Now you may be thinking, oh man, the Lizard's way out of scale. Well, we've looked up some pictures online, and the truth is, this is really about accurate.
Yeah, we were concerned about it to begin with too. You know, we saw it and thought, man, there's no way. You know, it's good that he's big. You know, that's not a bad thing as far as the toy's concerned. But for accuracy's sake, you know, he seemed like he's way too big compared to Spider-Man. You know, those guys on the internet are saying you look like one of the Goombas from the Super Mario Brothers movie, but right now you look more like Godzilla to me. Gulp. But no, we meticulously looked and tried to match up the figure to some images, and this is about right on. It may be just a hair too small, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, but this figure really is the right size for this Spider-Man. Alright guys, the next comparison will be with the now fabled and historic Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man from the 6-inch Toy Biz line. As you can see, this Spider-Man is quite a bit bigger and doesn't really work in scale with him, but still, you know, a neat comparison to see the evolution, and they do have kind of a similar feel to them, so they are sort of kin in that way. No, I'm telling you, I'm the new Spider-Man. I don't want to retire, I'm not ready. I'm not even out of my 30s yet. Please, for the love of God, my family needs to eat. Come on, man.
Boys, is there a problem?
No, Dad.
And here he is with the Marvel Legends first appearance Spider-Man. This is one of the better Spider-Man figures that Toy Biz did. You know, this film is going to be depicting Spider-Man's early years, so, you know, him with the first appearance Spider-Man is kind of fun.
They all laughed at me. They said that I wasn't in scale with a 4-inch line, but I'll show you, Spider-Man. I'm going to go see my friends at Diamond Select Collectibles and see what they can do for me. Amazing what $15 more can buy you, isn't it, Spider-Man? You'll never find my true weakness.
I kick you in the nuts, but there's nothing there, buddy. Ah.
Wah, wah, wah. Alright guys, and just for giggles, here he is with the Hasbro 3 3/4 Spider-Man.
And here he is with Diamond's other Spider-Man, the Mini-Mate.
Dad, can I get a candy bar? I don't know, son. I'll have to ask Grandpa. Grandpa, can we get a candy bar? He said yes. Oh, hello. How are you?
Thank you for joining us again. Well, that was our close look at the amazing Spider-Man from Diamond Select. And it's just it's just a very high quality piece. When I first held it in my hand, you know, after we got it out of the package, my initial response is, this is a toy. You know, it brought back this great wave of nostalgia. It was like opening a lot of that Golden Age Toy Biz stuff. You know, it reminded me of getting, say, the 6-inch figures from Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. You know, it imbibed that same great quality.
So, in conclusion, I can safely say that this figure is very much worth your money. Like we were talking about, the stand is really nice. Of course, the articulation is really good, save for the hinge at the neck that we talked about that really would help the figure out a little bit. I mean, other than that, it's really stupendous that it could come out this well, really.
Absolutely.
Just a beautiful little figure and completely worthy of 4 out of 5 stars.
Definitely.
Alright, guys. Till next time, remember to subscribe, and then we have all kinds of different reviews coming down the pipeline. This week in particular is kind of Amazing Spider-Man week. We have the Mini Mates and the Diamond Select figures. Please go to our Lizard review right here, and I know you guys are going to love that. The Lizard is a very impressive figure, even a little bit better than Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely. He's phenomenal.
Or if you guys want to check out our Mini Mates reviews, please go here and you'll find one of them. This has been Fanboys Forever, and I'm Jared.
And this is Brendan.
Thank you. God bless you. Subscribe.
Remember, true believers, with great figures comes great collectability. And cut.
Oh, thank God these bloody Americans are driving me mad.